All right, y'all. Good morning. I know it's been a while since we've had a video. So today, expectations, watch your video fully. Make sure you get the notes down. And you will have to submit this when you get done. So we're going to talk about government. So government economics, government's unit 3, economics is unit 4. I teach them together for virtual. But government is going to talk about balancing freedom and power. And the three themes that go along with this unit are gaining power, maintaining, and resisting power. So we're going to talk about like how do political leaders take control, how do parties take control, things like that, and then how do they maintain it if it's good for the citizens, or how citizens can resist if they're unhappy. So this is going to be a pretty interesting unit, and you get to learn about a couple different forms of government. So I'm going to go ahead and get after it. Your essential question is going to be, how do governments gain power? How do governments maintain power? How do citizens resist government power? And so what is government? Government is a system of order for a nation, state, or another political unit. For instance, we have government in Pitt County. Pitt County has county commissioners, right? But then you have a city council for like the city of Greenville, or a town council for Farmville, or Ayden or Grifton, or those areas. Government exists in all spaces. Even the schools in which you attend all over the county have a system of order for the school. And so government exists everywhere. We have big national government. We have international government, government within our states, for instance, and then even in our counties, our cities, and even your schools. Government creates hierarchies, systems, bureaucracy, things that work together to keep order. So when we talk about forms of government, I'll put this video up as a resource for you. It's pretty good. And it's not too long, but it kind of just talks about who has power, what are powers, what are rights, things like that. Okay, so we're going to skip through that. But we're going to talk about some forms of government. A couple of suggestions for how you take your notes today. If you want to do a 2-column note, that would be kind of a T chart, and you put the term on the left and the definition on the right. Or you can just write your notes. You could do a Cornell style, anything that kind of helps keep you organized, okay? And one thing I do want to say is I have been looking at you guys' notes, and they look very good. Some of you, I want you to take a little bit more time to write down what I'm talking about. 2 forms here. These are more stringent forms of government. You have absolutism, and the root word is absolute. In your notes, box out the word absolute here to the T, draw an arrow out and say put absolute next to it, or it's a must, okay? It's their way or the highway, and you can add a little note or annotate there. Absolutism is the ruler is an absolute dictator. That means that they aren't restricted by a constitution or laws, and typically they don't face opposition. And if they do face opposition, they usually handle them or dispose of them or get rid of them or do something to them. An example of this is going to be King Louis XIV. He was the king of France. He was known as the Sun King. So King Louis had a parliament, which is like a lawmaking branch of government, but he never really met with them. They existed. They met, he didn't meet with them, and then he did not answer to them. And he still made the laws, even though they were the lawmaking branch. You'll learn more about him in a day or two. Authoritarianism, the root word is authoritarian. So you can box out authoritarian right here, or like authority, or authoritarian. This is a political system that denies the people participation in the government. Hugo Chavez, when running Venezuela, he did not allow people to vote or participate in the government, or he picked and chose who was allowed to be involved. And that is violating human rights. Totalitarianism is going to be total is the root word. You can box it out or highlight it for yourself. That's total government. The government has control over its lives and individual citizens. Couple of the leaders here on the screen, these are the World War II dictators that existed. And actually, the rise of dictators occurred in the 1920s and the 1930s. So these men didn't just like magically take power over their country. They kind of did a slow takeover. So you have Joseph Stalin, Adolf Hitler, Mao Zedong, Benito Mussolini, and Tojo, who is from Japan. So they believe in total government, where there is total and complete control of lives and of individual citizens. You will learn more about these guys at length, because you guys will do some studies about them in our last unit dealing with the wars. Democracy is government by the people, for the people, by the people is what I like to put, and you can put that in your notes with democracy. And democracy is very much the opposite of totalitarianism, authoritarian, or absolutism. The people have the right. And democracy has two forms. There is a did I put them up there? No. Democracy has two forms. It's direct democracy, and you might want to add this to your notes. Direct democracy is really beneficial for smaller areas. So direct democracy, people have the right to directly vote for their leaders, or and they can also convene or meet together to discuss issues. The United States is too big to have a direct democracy, so we have a little bit of a mix. We have representative democracy, which means all of us, when we turn 18, have the right to vote for the leaders to represent us. For example, and I'm going to try not to make this video super long, but I like to educate you on the government because it directly impacts your life. For example, in the state of North Carolina, we have the House of Representatives, and we have like our Senate in North Carolina, and that creates the General Assembly, which in national terms, that's Congress, okay, for us in North Carolina. And so you have, in Senate, you have 2 representatives for, or actually maybe 1. Anyway, point is, we vote for those leaders, for the House of Representatives and the Senate. In the United States, we have Congress, which is the Senate and the House. The House is based off of population, so we get to vote for a representation based off the population of our state. The Senate has 2 senators that represent us. All of us who are eligible and able to vote get to vote for those leaders, because we cannot get every American citizen to sit in a room and decide on legislation. Legislation means laws. So we pick our representation. And that's what democracy gives citizens, okay? When you heard about the other 3 governments don't give citizens a lot of rights, but democracy does. When we talk about a theocracy, it's a government controlled by religious leaders. Example would be like the Vatican City, where the Pope lives, or Yemen. They have religion at the center, and they even when you guys learned about the caste system from India, and historically the priests were at the top, so they ran the government. Okay, secularism is going to be the belief that religion should be excluded from civic affairs and public education. So that's the separation of church and state. Like, you have that in the United States, but every country isn't like that. Many countries have adopted that policy, especially if they're more tolerant towards other religions, because how do you decide which religion would lead the country if multiple are represented? So it's the idea of secular. The root word secular means worldly. And sometimes people think worldly is negative, but worldly in this sense is like covering everybody and like making sure everybody's represented. The root word here is theo for theocracy. Theo means theology, the study of religion or God. Okay, a republic is going to be people select their representatives to govern them and make laws, like a representative democracy. See, I knew I put it in here. Here's a picture right here. So you got direct democracy, laws and rules, vote the people. Representative democracy is laws, rules, elected representatives, and these guys vote for those representatives. So direct is when you got a smaller population. And a good example would be Athens, Greece. Back in ancient times, or the classical era, Athens was small enough, and they only allowed men who owned land to be able to vote, and so they all were able to have a direct democracy because there was not that many of them. Whereas in the United States, like, I'm gonna be real, we couldn't all sit down and decide on something, so we have to pick our representation. Socialism, the root word is social. Socialism has kind of 2 definitions: a system in which society, usually the government, owns or controls how things are made. Socialism, and you want to draw an arrow, box out the root. Socialism, society is what they're looking for. How do we help people as a whole? Or the system that thinks both the economy and society should be run democratically, and that the goal is to meet the needs of all people. So when we talk about socialism for a system in society related to the government is usually the government like owns land and also may control production in countries, okay? And that's going to kind of get more into economics. And then this one, when we talk about the second definition, you need to make sure you know both, is the system thinks about both the economy and society must run democratically. So it's like socialism, the programs are social programs, like, for instance, housing, food aid, healthcare for individuals who don't have healthcare. Those are social programs. Those are socialism programs, and they help people. Okay. Now, communism is when they hold all the property in common, actual ownership being ascribed to the community as a whole or to the state. You have already heard a little bit. I believe you and I, as a group, talked about communism and maybe some Karl Marx And if we have not, I will talk about him. But he kind of talks about, he creates communism, the idea of communism. And the idea is that it's a collective for everyone. The problem with communism, the flaw, is that a dictator always ends up taking over those countries. And so they kind of prescribe, like it says, ascribe here, but they prescribe what they want done for their country. So the idea in theory is to help the community as a whole, but it ends up getting manipulated and turned into something else. Fascism, is an authoritarian or nationalistic right-wing system of government and social organization. You have two individuals that represent fascism in history, and we still deal with fascism today. Benito Mussolini was kind of the original leader of that, and also Adolf Hitler. Both are World War II leaders on the Axis powers, and we'll talk more about them, but we also talked more about the rise of dictators. But both of them believed in nationalistic right-wing systems, which means that they believed in like certain elite groups of race. They believed that other groups were inferior and that they were superior. They were racist. They'd harm people, antagonize, or terrorize people. We'll talk more about that. Absolute monarchs are going to be ruled by a single person. They inherit and take the power. An example would be a king or a queen, okay? And then their little babies take over as well after they have a son or daughter, they can take over as the monarch. And there's no voting there, guys. There's no voting, okay? Constitutional monarch is the monarch shares power with a constitutionally organized government. A good example, and the queen is deceased now, my bad, Queen Elizabeth, rest in peace, girl. King Charles is now the king of England, and, they are more of a figurehead now, but in the past, their royal family was running the government, and there was an era with William and Mary, who were king and queen of England, and they tried to work with the people of England during that time, so they created a constitution that kind of limited the power of the king and the queen so that people could have rights. And they created Parliament, which is their lawmaking branch in England. Parliament is just like Congress for the United States. They have party affiliations and they make laws, okay? An example of that, though, constitutional monarchy is England. So you're going to pause here, get your notes. I know this video is a little bit lengthy. Please take time to box out those words in your notes because I'm going to be looking for them. And I'm going to grade you and see if you did what I asked you to do in your notes. So I better see out some boxing out of some root words there. And honestly, I spend time making the video, so I want to make sure you honor the time and get the notes in, okay? So with that being said, remember, you can pause, rewind. You can freeze it, do whatever you need to do to acquire these notes, okay? And if you need help, just let me know.